like, fair warning, if you get overly attached to dogs, don't read this because a villain hurting or killing a dog is like the author's shorthand for this person is a monster.
Oh no,
so
I couldn't read this book.
Very few dogs make it out okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like if...
The producer hates it too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Books and Looks. It's been a minute, but we're back and we have Ash with us today. Ash is an avid reader and she's going to share a really cool manga series with us today. And we're going to try to kind of replicate that in today's look. So I'll let Ash introduce herself and introduce the series that she'll be talking about while I prep her face.
All right, hello, that's me. I'm here to talk about... This is the front. Here to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a manga series that's my favorite, and it's not close. It really lives up to the name.
Okay.
I think what really drew me to it initially was the art style. It's really unique. Like, when it started out in the 80s, it was...
in the 80s?
Yeah, it's still running.
Okay.
Part 8 just finished up. You know, when it started out in the 80s, it was kind of more typical for the genre in that time period. Like, it's really similar to, like, Fist of the North Star. There's some similarities to Berserk, but, like, as it matured, the artist kind of stopped following the zeitgeist and just matured into his own unique style. And it's definitely, you'll love it or hate it based on the art style. Like a lot of people, it turns people off.
It's very different. It's very colorful and creative. But I feel like, again, yeah, that might not be for everyone. But I think it looks very fun.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like, I know that art's subjective, but when people are like, oh, I don't like it because it's ugly, I'm like, are we reading the same thing? It's gorgeous.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the story, its characters, maybe some of your favorite characters in this series, and maybe what made you want to pick it up in the first place.
Okay, it's a little unique in that there's not just one JoJo, it's a family nickname.
Okay.
It comes from, like, the first one was Jonathan Joestar. Like, you get the Joe from the first name of Joe from the last name. So all the
family has some kind of Joe in the name?
Yes, there's Jonathan, then his grandson Joseph, and then Jotaro is when the story moves from, like, England and America to Japan. Okay. And then after that, it's Josuke, then Giorno, which is kind of funny because it's spelled with a G because he's Italian.
Ah.
And then Jolene, and then there's Johnny, and then there's another Josuke, and part 9 hasn't started yet, so we'll see what Joe name that is.
So, is there like one set main character in this series, or does it kind of follow the whole family?
Not really. Each, I guess you could call them seasons, but people call them parts because technically season 1 of the anime is parts 1 and 2 because they're just so short. Okay. Each part follows a separate member of the family. So they're like the main character for that season, and then the next season the title is passed on to someone else.
Okay.
Different characters from previous seasons do keep showing up. Like Joseph is in part 2, that's when he's introduced, but he's also Jotaro's grandfather in part 3 and Josuke's father in part 4, so he shows up in both of those. And basically every part from part 3 onward, Jotaro is in to some extent because he's kind of the most famous character in the whole series because that was his part is when it like really took off.
Okay. So let's start with setting. Where does this series take place, or does it take place in different places each time?
It's kind of a global story, and you can kind of tell when reading it that author just like read some book and tried to cram as many fun facts as he could into
About that specific area
Yeah.
or something. Okay.
like that's one of the reasons this story about Jotaro is so fun, because it starts out in Japan, but they have to go kill this guy in Egypt because he's like attached himself to the family and he's cursing them, and it's killing Jotaro's mother.
Okay.
So they've got to go to Egypt from Japan. So like it's kind of like an around the world in 80 days
Yes.
kind
type
of
situation.
story.
Mhm. So each story in every volume of this series, what seems to be the issues that this family has going on?
Throughout the whole series, it all comes back to this one guy who just was the worst. I love him. He's horrible. His name is Dio Brando.
Okay.
And way back in part 1 in Victorian times, the 1880s, he was orphaned and he moved in with this rich family, the Joestars, and he decided he was going to take these rich people for every penny they had.
Oh.
And he was just rotten to the core. He was poisoning people. He just...
So he basically was like the disaster of the family.
Oh yeah, for sure. He... Like, this first 2 episodes of part 1 are just Dio ruining Jonathan's childhood.
Okay.
In the middle of part 1, spoilers or whatever, but it's like not very far in, and everybody knows this if you know anything about JoJo's. He turns himself into a vampire. So he's the villain in part 3, 100 years later in the 1980s.
Okay.
They're going to Egypt because he was at the bottom of the ocean for 100 years and someone dredged him
He's
back
immortal,
up, and
yes.
now he's in Egypt just causing trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And
Causing hell for this family again.
yeah. This is what the series is mostly known for, these things called stands,
Okay.
which are like these kind of physical manifestations of your spirit that like you can control.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them look like these like weird kind of robotic humanoid figures, and if you have one, you can like cause all sorts of havoc and no one knows it is, because only a stand user can see stands. And only a stand can hurt another stand, and a stand is kind of like, if your stand gets hurt, it's like if you die in the game, you die for real.
So is this the first series? Is this the only series that this author has?
Yes, there are some spin-offs with a character from Diamond is Unbreakable, part 4.
Okay.
It's kind of his like self-insert character because that character is also a manga artist.
Okay.
And
So it's kind of like a cool way of him to kind of reflect
Yeah.
himself in the form of a character. Okay.
yeah, I don't know if that reflects well on him because that guy was originally introduced as a villain and he's a crazy person.
Well, I mean, sometimes we see ourselves as crazy people.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to read this series, or did someone recommend it to you? What made you pick this up?
I kind of picked it up through originally like cultural osmosis on the internet because
Was it popular?
yeah, it's
Okay.
fairly popular. Among the general public, it's probably not a household name or anything.
Okay.
But when you know about manga and anime, you're like, oh yeah, JoJo's, I know what that is.
Okay. And you said, is there like TV anime around this, or?
Yes, there's just starting to put Stone Ocean Part 6 on Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Okay.
Yeah. The Phantom Blood, Battle Tendency, Stardust Crusaders, Diamond is Unbreakable, and Golden Wind. They were not like Netflix creations, but I think there was just some like merger or something that happened. That
Okay.
Netflix was like, we have the rights to distribute this internationally now.
Oh, okay. And so this series originally is published in Japanese.
Yes.
And then it takes some time for it to be translated. So usually what's the turnaround whenever the artist releases the series, how long do you usually have to wait?
Well, for scanlations, which is like fan-made translations and localizations, you don't have to wait very long at all, but I'm not 100% sure about the legality of that, so yeah, don't go into a bookstore asking for a Stone
fan
Ocean
translation.
Yeah, Stone Ocean, Steel Ball Run, and JoJolion have not been officially translated to English yet. You cannot buy hard copies like you can with this.
Ah, okay. So what about this series? What would you rate this series in terms of like, maybe like level of like romance, level like its rating, PG-13?
Yeah, I think PG-13 is a fair rating because,
Okay.
you know, morals about different things are different from country to
Country, right.
Like,
In terms of your makeup routine, what is your usual makeup routine?
I kind of just do not have one.
Don't have one, okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever kind of played with makeup before?
Yeah, like I just got finished with Baytown Little Theater, and when you're on stage like that, you
Have to
kind of need to put something on your face so you don't look like one of those faceless blobs from
on
another brick in the
stage
wall.
or something. Were you in a play at Baytown Little Theater?
Yeah, we just finished up Annie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the last show was Sunday.
Interesting. So what was your role?
Just chorus.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you like to sing?
Dance more, but sing and dance, yes.
Sing and dance, cool. So I kind of want to jump in. So far what we've got going on the eyes is I did a little bit, I really liked the purple that was incorporated into this color. So I did add a little bit of purple to the eyelids. But something really cool that Ash showed me, one of the characters that they're very known for kind of like an artistic cartoony chiseling of the face. So I think we're gonna try to kind of recreate that with eyeliner. So it kind of looks like they chisel out just the direct kind of contours and features of the face. So that's what we're gonna attempt to do here.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the most make it or break it things about the art style is like all the extra lines on the face.
The lines and chiseling. It definitely, I think the purpose of that is to definitely give structure to the characters' faces and give them those really like sharp features.
Like this is a tough guy.
Yes. So we definitely kind of want to add those like comic-y type lines. It seems like they have a little bit of shadow lines right under these areas here. I'm gonna call them our little cat whiskers under the eyes. And then they tend to kind of chisel out the cheek, and that's kind of where they divide the cheekbone, and it's kind of where they divide the cheekbone and the jawline, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I think one last thing that I noticed in that picture was it kind of looks like they really like dramatically sharpen this kind of area here. So I think I'm gonna also kind of mimic that. It looks like the lines don't exactly connect to this one, but they come pretty close.
Yeah.
Just to give that kind of like very square look there that they have going on. And then I can't really tell on the forehead because the character,
the
character seems to wear a hat. Okay, well, thank you, Ash, so much for coming and talking about this series. Again, if you like adventure, if you like action, if you like super beautiful, colorful art like this one, then I think you'll really enjoy this series. And thanks for watching through, and we hope that you give it a try. We do have it available for checkout at our library. And thank you, Ash, for coming and being on the show and for letting us doll up and literally do random art and play with your face. Yes, exactly. So thank you so much.
Of course. Happy to be here.
All right. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.